you were making so much noise. Your neighbor was peering over the fence, and he was actually cheering me on.
In front of everyone. He's like, this guy's fucking weird.
The tournament organizer would walk up to me and introduce himself to me like I was someone important. I'm like,
I'm like, holy shit.
Bro, we can't kill this motherfucker. His name lives on.
If I let go of that thing while I was pulling it up the stairs, I would have killed someone for sure.
Dakota likes that.
Go
He's
on.
Like, he lasts longer.
Salem is my number one fan.
Coming at you live from
Dakota's gonna
YouTube.
sound us off now.
Yeah.
Let us know what's up.
All right. Welcome to the StayMAD podcast.
Dang. So
That's where you airing all your
Oh, wow, it
fans.
just keeps
All right.
going.
yes.
Okay.
So
That seems kind of long.
hello everyone. This has been amazing to hear everyone coming up to us and telling us how they're listening to our podcast and stuff. So I just want to say thank you so much. Today's special guest, LoweKeyFlexin, the beautiful man, the modder, the guy with the beautiful button-ups. But he loves me. He's always going to look at me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The beautiful button-ups, the modded sticks, the brainiac, the killer, LoweKeyFlexin, the Jamie of the world. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm glad to have you guys here in my house.
Yeah, so usually it's in our garage. It's my garage, and now we're at your house,
Yeah.
dude. It's amazing. I love the organization with everything you have. So I'm gonna tell a story about just my thoughts on you before I even seen your face.
Okay.
But you know, I see you talking to us in the Discord, right? I see the name LoweKeyFlexin. Right away, I think, you know, like I envision a guy with like baggy pants, backwards hat, like trying to be a rapper or something.
Yeah.
And then I walk into Madhouse and you're there, right?
Right.
With your PC and everything. And I'm like, all right, oh, this is LoweKeyFlexin. And then I play you. We play, you know, Street Fighter at Madhouse. And it was funny. You beat me 3 times and I had to get your number.
Yeah.
I was like, what's your number, babe? Come on, come to my house. How did you first, like, you know, get introduced to us?
Well, I had got into Street Fighter 6 a few months before, and basically, the game hadn't quite released yet. I might have had a copy of the game. I was practicing, learning new game, new character, new controller. Wanted to see if there were any local events that would take me. And I was introduced to the Madhouse Discord by someone I was playing the game online with.
Yeah.
And I asked, "Hey, can I bring this game?" And I don't know. I showed up, and yeah, guys let me play it. So
Yeah. No, and it was funny because Atlanta was like, hey, we can't have, you know, obviously we're talking about the cracked beta of Street Fighter 6. And Atlanta was like, we can't have this here. Because prior to you, someone brought it.
I see.
And
Okay.
we were like, we shouldn't have this. I wanted it. I was like, fuck that. Let's have this here.
Yeah.
But obviously Atlanta, you know, he's like, let's chill. We don't want to be like just excluded from anything like
Right.
Capcom related. And I guess we didn't mention to you that we didn't want it, and you kind of just showed up with it.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's let it rock. Let's go.
Well, there were some rules like I couldn't be anywhere near the stream.
Yeah.
So I had my laptop open in a corner near the bathroom.
Yeah.
And my screen was like pointed away. So like I kind of had to flag people down as they went to the bathroom, like, hey, you know, I got this
Yeah.
over here. Want to play?
Yeah.
You know. So I was like teaching people how to play Street Fighter 6 for a little while.
How did you get the cracked beta?
Okay, so they ran a beta in 2022, like October, for a weekend. And so I didn't get into it there, but I paid a Russian website in Ethereum for a key. And I was able to play that weekend. So Yeah, I guess PayPal and Russia don't get along. Maybe we in Russia. I don't know why, but I couldn't give money to Russia. But with crypto I could. So I got the key. I got to play the game for that weekend, and then people figured out how to continue like playing offline versus mode. After that. So
Yeah.
I was just practicing it.
Yeah. Like any gamer willing to go that extra mile, like you were saying with the Raider quote and stuff. Any gamer that's like, hey, any extra thing to win, right? And everyone was doing it.
Of
Come
course.
on, people like to hide and be like, no, it wasn't me, but it was him. And it's like, dude, everyone's trying to get good.
Yeah.
And in the gaming world, we know with like Call of Duty and any game, like whoever has us gamers, whoever has it like a week early, a week being like training a week in advance than anyone else is like you're miles ahead of everyone.
Oh, for sure.
So you were going to say something?
Yeah. So the actual quote, this was a poster in, 1970s, 1980s when the Raiders were still like in LA and they were still a dominant team.
Yeah.
They had a poster in the locker room that said, rule number 1, cheating is encouraged. Rule number 2, see rule number 1.
Yeah.
And essentially, hearing like all these different players of all these little things that they're doing, whether it's, hey, trying to get into a beta by any means necessary, finding a way to continue playing after the beta is over,
Right.
modifying their sticks, right, within reason. Granted, there are a lot of people that are going to try to do macros and whatnot, and you've never encouraged that in this. I'm not going to insinuate you've ever done that, right? But it's more of just like all the different experimental things. It's just like, it's a testament to that same mantra of just like, bro, this is a dedication to the craft. It's really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, like, you know how like when Halo and Call of Duty comes out, it's fun for like a day or two, and then the really good players just end up like destroying you, and it isn't fun like after the second weekend. So it's kind of like that's how new Street Fighter games have been for me. So I felt like, okay, if I have like an 8-month head start, there's a sound going off over there. Yeah, just a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, rock and roll.
The CIA, they're on to him, dude. He's got to.
Brought you. I thought it was a
As soon
crackhead
as
outside.
the cap cops are outside right now.
Yeah, they keep hearing crack, crack. We have some crackheads out there like, wait, where is this cracked beta? I want some of it.
I can't imagine them going after anybody for the cracked beta at this point anymore.
No.
That would be absolutely insane if they did.
You act
Yeah.
like we haven't seen companies do some ultra petty stuff before, especially from that region.
Yeah, but like cracked beta after all these years, like at that point the cracked beta is nothing more than like archival
Yeah.
video game where it's basically like, hey, let's go see what the game looked like before it actually fully came out.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I remember them saying like, oh yeah, there's some changes when the game drops, and then when the game dropped, there's like no changes. Like it's exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm surprised you put your feet up like that, dude.
Why?
Well, Aaron specifically took his footrest away because he said, I don't want to put any feet in my podcast. I didn't want people to
I'm
see.
sorry. I will no longer do
It
that.
looks glorious.
He said, well, no, he said you can.
No. Yeah. That's
Is that,
that's chow down, yes?
are we going to get in trouble if we do that? I don't know. Every time I put food on the furniture, Atlanta yells at me.
And it's just Atlanta and I on the Madhouse podcast. We are now the Ma podcast. And we are chilling, waiting for
It's
Low-Key
Madhouse.
and Dakota to finish making out. Dude, they just
Dang.
sometimes they get this heat of passion. Because Dakota, he sees Aaron's face when it starts getting red. He knows, oh my God, he's horny. I need to go over there and attack him. And they go to the bathroom, little bathroom break.
I see the reason why he wants to attack him.
So okay, so we're getting back into it. Here we are.
I was just saying, got the game early, got to play a brand new, cool looking character, new archetype I'd never tried. I was new to Leverless, but it gave me an 8-month head start before the game came out to actually like, how do I do a quarter circle on Leverless? And like, how do I, you know how to play Ryu with your lever,
The stick,
right?
yeah.
With the stick. But so if I chose Ryu, then I'd be like, oh man, I could be like way I could do it way easier on a stick, and I just kind of give up. But me choosing a new character that I'd never seen before really helped me learn the new way to play at my own pace.
Oh, that's actually a interesting mindset to have, where you're like, you didn't. It forced you to not choose the safe option.
Right.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Even though Jamie is still like not Ryu, but like quarter circle kind of guy, where
Sure.
but it's just new character, new controller kind of
Right.
thing, and it's
New
like,
game.
So you knew right away, you were kind of like, even before Street Fighter 6, did you kind of like hear about hitbox and leverless and like what got you interested in that?
Well, the main interest for me was I had developed some wrist pain early on from playing Street Fighter with the lever, the joystick.
Yeah.
Just I think I was gripping it too tightly, and that was just causing too much tension.
Yes.
So after a couple hours, I just couldn't play anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's,
So-
I noticed like around your house and stuff, you have a lot of, as you call, ergonomic things, right? That make you, I guess, last longer. Dakota likes that.
Go
It's like
on.
he lasts longer.
go ahead.
Your keyboard, right? It's like weirdly
At
shaped.
a weird slant.
You just, it's really
Mouse.
You're like a delayed gratification kind of guy, where you're like, I see the longevity of like this equipment and how long I could play it for.
It certainly like enabled me to play at all, really.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like I was having a tough time even typing on a keyboard before I went ergonomic. So
Okay.
I just kind of knew ahead of time I needed to have something that would allow me to play for a longer amount of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I noticed that, there's so many tournaments out there, right?
Sure.
You have Guild House and stuff. You seem pretty dedicated to us, Madhouse and stuff, right? I even noticed the keychain right there. But you're a very Madhouse enthusiast. Like, why choose us? What is that?
I was practicing this game for a bit, and someone recommended that I come to your event. I showed up, and everyone welcomed me, and I had such a great time teaching people how to play the game. And you guys are just always super accepting. I just never felt any judgments, and like I was happy to show up early to help set up. Just it all felt kind of like a family.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. So going into, how I met you, and then you kick my ass, I get your number.
Yeah.
I get it for other purposes, but you thought he wants to train with me. We ended up in my garage,
Yeah.
and, you come over and we start this like training. Can you like, just tell people like how that was, just our girl. And I could go, chime in too on it. Like, all those hours playing basically in my garage. Like,
Yeah.
what's your side of it?
Well, I mean, I was super jazzed because the only time I was playing people in person was Thursday night.
Yes.
I bring my my giant case with a monitor and laptop and speakers and all that. But once you invited me over, I was coming every day
Yeah.
after work for 5 hours. We'd play.
Yeah.
That was awesome having an actual training partner.
Yeah, it felt great.
Yeah.
Just knowing like, damn, we're playing this game early. Like we're learning together. Like there was so many, going back to it. There was like, the Aaron of like when we first started playing. And then it was like, we would have these like discussions of, I remember telling you, hey, let's write down our neutral attacks. Like what we should do in neutral. And I could tell you were kind of like, I don't know if this is going to benefit us. And then the next day you come.
Yeah.
And you're like, this really fucking worked.
Oh my God. I would come over, we would play. I was recording all of it.
Yeah.
I would watch back the stuff and figure out counter strategies for what you were doing so that the next day I would be better and hopefully win more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. Just training and just going ham like that. Talking about the garage.
Okay.
And this, I think people watching, this is probably the biggest asked question. You and your getup, the obvious.
Yeah.
What's this about? Because when you first came to my garage,
Right.
it was like a Luke shirt. And when you came to Madhouse, it was like, Luke and Jamie, right? Like you were just wearing Street Fighter shirts, or not just, you were wearing normal shirts. But I think most people watching never seen you in a t-shirt.
No. Yeah.
What is this?
So one day I showed up to your house and I was like straight from work. I didn't have time to change or anything like that. And I was like wearing what I wear to work, like dress shirt, dress pants. And you're like, that's it. You're not wearing anything else. Like you go to tournaments, like this is what you got to wear.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I remember seeing you come to my house and I'm like, it was just like the brand just slapped me in the face. I was like, whoa. Cause you come in t-shirts and stuff and it's like, you're not going to stand out. When you go to a tournament, everyone's in a damn t-shirt. People are in their, their Crocs, whatever. Most people don't care. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, when I seen you come to my house like that, I was like, this is LoweKeyFlexin. And the name, just like LoweKeyFlexin, like you're just flexing, you're going to business, basically playing Street Fighter. You go to a tournament, it's all business. People are always, complimenting, talking about, that's your character now,
Yeah.
It was cool to see. I remember though, you fought me about it because I was like, obviously I was like, this is Aaron, this is low key, right? And you said, man, I just want to go into Street Fighter. Sure, I don't know, and I was so like angry about, like, not crazy angry, but I was just like, no, come on, like, and you kept denying it. You were like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And you never told me you decided to do it. Next tournament we go to, you just did it.
Yeah.
You showed up in in your button up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes. But I thought maybe it was a one-time thing. You were joking with me. You're like, no, dude, you've done it it's been what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
Something like that. And I was just like, yes, he understood. And you understood the assignment. You did it. And it's like, it just makes me happy to see that.
Oh yeah. Like immediately, let's say we went to a Saturday tournament in Fresno, right? Like the tournament organizer would walk up to me and introduce himself to me like I was someone important. I'm like,
I remember that. I remember. Yes, he was like, "Hey man, like here's my business card." Here's this. But we were all chilling.
Exactly.
But we had T-shirts, right? We were all hanging out, and he had to go to you and be like, "Sir, like this." You know? And it's like, and I looked at you and I'm like, "See, you stand out."
I saw it. Yeah.
People want to talk to people that are dressed up and look presentable, right?
Oh,
like,
totally. And
so
I feel like people don't. They assume that I'm probably like no good at the game as well. Because like, what's someone dressed up like this doing?
Yes.
At an event.
Yeah.
Like he's probably just casually.
I love that too.
Yeah,
I've always been an admirer of like being underestimated, right?
Yeah.
The little sensei that's old, and then people want to test him and be like, and then he whoops all their asses. I love that. That's the cool thing is like, underestimate me and just know I'm here for business. So yeah, it's cool to see that you stuck with it. Damn, your cat is like.
Oh yeah, this is Salem. Salem is my number one fan.
Yeah, that's awesome. He's a cool one for sure. So going back to the garage, right?
Yeah.
Some kind of funny moments that we had that we rarely see you kind of frustrated a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're very cool, calm, and collected. One time in my garage, one of the things I had you do was your execution wasn't so, it wasn't on par.
Yeah.
And it's a new game. None of us were. But I was like, look, there was many times you were about to beat me and then like you dropped something, right?
Right.
And I told you, look, this is what I do to get my execution up. Do something like 3 times in a row, but then do it 5 times. Like do it 3 times, get it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to, it's like a set, right? 3 times in a row. But you got to do 5 sets of that. And I think you did it like, it was like 10 times in a row or something.
Yeah.
But you had to do it a certain amount of times. And Tony was there, RIP Tony. The neighbor was there.
Yeah.
And he came by. This cat is like destroy everything.
It's all good.
So, the neighbor was there. You're put on the spot.
Yeah.
And we're like, do this 10 times in a row. And we're not going to play until like you do this. So you're like, okay. And you started to realize when the 10th time would come, because you're like, it could get frustrating. Like you have it 9 times down.
Right.
Every time it was like the 10th time, you would drop it.
Yeah. When the pressure was on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that gets you ready for tournament.
100%.
It's like, when you're in tournament playing, it's always like you're on that 10th time. And it's
Right.
like, this is when it matters. So it's training that brain. And I remember you looked back at me after, dude, it was like what, 30 minutes, an hour?
It was over an hour.
And you looked back and you said, look, Michael, like I came over, like, let's just play and I'll do this later. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I want to play, but we can't until you do the fucking combo, you know? Like, and you're like, and you like, eventually you got it.
Right.
And it was just like, and Tony's over there cheering. He's like, come, it became, like you said, it took over an hour.
Oh, yeah.
It became where we're like, you got this. And there was many times you did it 9 times in a row.
Yeah.
And that 10th damn time,
Oh, yeah.
it was like, yeah. So just seeing, and I loved seeing like, you know, you're always a calm, cool, collected guy.
Sure.
But I could tell that was one of those moments you kind of cracked and you were like, but I was like, yes, he's discovering himself. You know, how did that all make you feel?
I mean, it was rough. Because, like, I've always seen myself as someone with no rhythm whatsoever.
Okay.
So, like, combo execution, it was always rough, and I just written it off. But it turns out, with enough practice, you actually can land your combos. So that taught me a lot of lessons. But yeah, you were making so much noise that your neighbor was peering over the fence, and like you were trying to like kind of build the pressure on me, and he was actually cheering me on.
Yeah, you could do it.
Yeah. No, that it was awesome.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you've seen that it was like, it's part of the training.
Totally. And I still do a little bit of those warm ups every time I play.
Yeah.
The 10 times in a row on each side.
You get it now. You
Yep.
understand that, you know? So now let's talk about Julio and almost beating each other's asses.
Uh-huh.
This is probably the last garage story. But
Okay.
obviously, right, we knew a guy that we banned because he was being a jackass
Sure.
at Madhouse. And he, Atlanta's like, you motherfucker.
No, I'm fine with it because I'm like, I'll just edit this shit out. I don't fucking care.
I'm just like, we're gonna edit this, so it's fine. It's
So
just
he's
more
over
like,
here like he's like, bro, we can't kill this motherfucker. His name lives on.
So right, so one of the last garage stories is, you know, Julio comes over, and this is cool. I wanted to see your face because you know the FGC. You knew Julio before.
Oh
you
yeah.
even knew Madhouse and stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I had Julio kind of surprise you, and you came first, and I'm like, all right, Julio, like let's come train with us, you know?
Yeah.
And he came over, and it was cool. Like I didn't tell you until he showed up.
Right.
And you're there, like, you know, he came through the door, and you're just like, okay, like you knew, like today's a serious day. You know, we need to take this time to like,
Oh yeah.
you know, and he played Jamie. You know, how did you feel about all that, seeing Julio?
I mean, that was awesome. Like I didn't have any real examples of people who knew how to play my character really well. So it was crazy to like hear different suggestions and like, just see someone play it completely differently. I guess it was, what was crazy was seeing you, who usually beats, like at this point you had like surpassed me quite a bit, and you were just beating anyone who would come through. But it was seeing you actually losing to Julio more often than not. And I was like, damn, okay, there's like levels to this.
Yes. And I loved showing you that.
Yeah.
Of like, before Julio came, it was like Michael's the peak of
Right.
this because he's just beating everyone. So what else is there?
Sure.
And then I was like, I'm going to bring Julio, and I know he's going to annihilate me. But it's like, when you see that, it's like Dragon Ball Z and stuff, right? It's like that next level, that's going to open your mind to the possibility that, hey, Michael can bleed, right? In sports and like UFC boxing, someone always seems unstoppable, 10 times undefeated. And then one fighter beats that guy, and now the next fighters are beating him. He looks less of like a god, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like you needed that with Julio, and I could see you were like, oh shit, training time. But then, you know, comes by, right? He comes by, he brings this setup. What's your take on like everything that happened, right? Let us know, like, you know, and we talked about it before, like what went down?
Well, okay, so someone else shows up with, they have the game also running, but it's on a computer that is just like struggling so hard to do anything. And it's like he's trying, but it's not super helpful to have him there because he's like not adapting in any way like anyone else was. So like he wouldn't like ask for feedback or like it's just you could play the same way 30 games straight and it just wouldn't change, and it's just like no one's learning anything here, and you're not here to learn, so like what are we doing? You know. So anyway, he shows up, brings his computer, brings his dog, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which in his defense, I allowed that time. I allowed it. I did.
Yeah, and I don't know. I hadn't seen any really poor behavior until like he was playing Julio, and then it was like mid-match, just kind of asking Julio a question, like while the round isn't even over yet, just like antagonizing him, like, "Hey, was that plus that thing you did right there?" Like, kind of like hammering it in, and like wouldn't let it go.
Yes.
And like Julio's like chill, like I can't answer this in the moment when I'm thinking about the game, right?
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
And I think that's when things turn sour. I'll ask someone too, like if I'm playing Julio during the middle of the match, I'll ask him. But if I know he's like completely in the zone, and then I'm like, okay, he didn't really reply.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask after the match. But the problem arose when, and then like you're saying, he didn't let it go, because Julio did say, "Hey, I'm in the middle of the match. Like I'm really trying to get this down."
Right.
And this is when, the guy said, "No, you're gonna tell me now." Right? He like kind of demanded it. He was like, "You're gonna tell me." And then I loved Julio because he said in front of everyone, he's like, "This guy's fucking weird." But he said this guy's fucking weird
As if the guy wasn't there.
as if he wasn't there. So it's like, holy shit, this is going down right now.
Like to the audience.
And I feel bad, and I'm just like, fuck, like this is like Julio's first and last time coming, and we need his training, right? Like, and there was something else, like you said, I think like PKM or to play you or something, but you were like, no, I'm waiting for like them to, like me and Julio were playing, and you're like, I'm waiting to get on this, and stuff. But it was just one of those moments. And the whole dog situation, Cherie eventually didn't want the dog. She noticed, and she's like, I don't want a dog next time here.
Yeah.
And then he went off. He was like, well, Sam was still alive. And he was like, well, why does this dog get to be here? And it's like throwing things in our face that it's like, these are such like absurd things to even ask.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, and it just went sour, and, it was just a funny little story that happened. And that was, the peak, that story was funny. Last garage story though, those were good times though. And when you brought this in today,
let me just grab
show it
this,
off.
show
Show this off.
Pick it up above the camera.
LoweKeyFlexin will not let anything stop him. He'll bring a whole PC, controllers, anything. He used to bring this to my garage with all the equipment, right? Because you're bringing a cracked beta on the PC and stuff. Which one should we show it to? Look, Atlanta, hold that shit up.
Atlanta's really
Come
strong.
On, you're a lifter. But yeah,
it's so fucking big, you can't even see it in any of the cameras.
Tell the people what the hell he's holding.
I mean, Atlanta, you can put this down. I'm sorry, it's kind of heavy.
Yeah. But what is he holding here?
Is it that heavy? Come on now.
No, it's more like
it's just awkward. Yeah, I feel it.
This case that you guys just saw. So I brought a PC monitor in there along with my laptop every day to Michael's house and to the Madhouse events.
Yeah.
And that case actually came from my work. I work for a company that sells microscopes, and the salespeople would actually cart around an Apple iMac in that. That's what it's made for. And then, demonstrate a microscope for a customer. It's perfect because it's got wheels, but it just looks hilarious for a regular person to have it. Like it's a purpose-built, thing to sell an expensive, piece of equipment, but it's a hilarious monitor bag for sure.
Admittedly, seeing you the first time, you know, as I was controlling Madhouse remotely, and the only way I could see into the building is through the cameras. And to me be up there on that wide shot and to see you wheel in this massive black box, I was like... Upstairs, right? Because you have to go up the stairs no matter what. And me just thinking to myself, who the fuck is this guy, right? And what the hell is he bringing? Yep. It's because at that point, I had only seen you on camera. I hadn't met you in person. So I was just like, this dude was serious.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a good time. Like, you always do some certain thing, and you have an expression on your face, and I love it. When you do something that's kind of out there, or like...
Okay.
Because we wouldn't think you would bring a whole damn PC, or there's certain... we'll get to the sticks that you make and stuff. Sure. But you give us this face of like, am I doing something wrong? And if I am, I don't care because I want to do it. Oh yeah, I'm bringing this whole thing. Like it doesn't matter. And when you brought this out today from your room,
Yeah.
it just brought like nostalgia to me.
Right.
Because like, dude, sometimes we did like a 14-hour day in the garage.
Oh, yeah.
And I always knew when you brought that, it's like time to train.
Yes.
Right. It's serious mode. It's work time. So it made me so happy to see that when you brought it out today.
Yeah.
That was super awesome. Your cat's about to attack me.
No.
Your cat, is it a she or
he's
he?
harmless.
He's like, I'm the only
Salem.
one in all black.
He could never hurt someone. He just wants to smell you.
I would actually like if he actually just straight up jumped at my head and started like clawing me.
No.
Like, it's hilarious. It would be hilarious because you're like, he's so nice. He would never hurt you. And the cat just goes, I'm like, holy shit.
And the podcast ends, you die.
So going into the release of Street Fighter, or actually
Yeah.
like a couple days before the release,
Right.
you are so dedicated to getting like any ounce of like getting better than someone, right? Any ounce of like, hey, if I could get ahead of the curve, I'm going to do it. So you found someone that had the game early.
Yeah. So it was like a week and a half before the game came out. I saw on Facebook Marketplace, someone was selling it for $40, less than retail,
Yeah.
all the way in Carson. So it was like a 3-hour drive from work.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm doing it, because I have all this practice with like one character in this game, but who knows if all that practice is for nothing and they just change this game completely,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
it comes out. So I wanted to, I guess I just wanted to figure out as much as I could before it came out.
Yeah. And I was like, that's amazing that you did that. Cause like it helped me too. You brought it over and we were so excited.
Yeah.
Cause we already had like, I don't even know, like hours, 40, 80 hours into the game, right?
Steam tells me that I have 3,000 hours on the Street Fighter 6 beta.
Jesus. I'm wondering how much you and I put into that.
I have no idea.
But that is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew we had a lot of hours and it was almost like when you brought the game over, the actual full game.
Yeah.
It's like now there's all these characters.
I
right?
know.
And it was amazing to see. And it's just like, good shit, man. Like you went 3 hours away, got the game 3 hours back.
Right.
But it is what it takes. And that's the thing I always tell people. It's like a lot of people will like to make excuses on like, oh, I'm not going to do that because it's just like I could just wait for the game to come out. You're like, if I can play the game an hour before everyone, you will. I bet you would still drive 3 hours to like any, and that's what it takes. Really, it's awesome to see.
I mean, I didn't want to put all this effort in and then like day one go to a tournament and someone shows up with Dalsum and then I'm like, oh, well, I'm losing now.
Yeah.
You know, we have to have some idea of what the other characters do.
We did. I remember we made a tier list and we looked into just other content creators that talked about the character and we kind of put our brains together and been like, I think he's here. And our tier list was pretty damn close.
Yeah. Yeah. The only one that was a wild card was Manon. We had no idea like where that one would place. Unfortunately, it seems like they didn't quite give enough tools to that character.
Yeah.
But is what it is.
Yeah.
Got pretty close though.
So now going into your character, right,
Yeah.
Jamie? It's a touchy subject for me because I always want to fight you on it. I'm just like, I want you to like, try other characters, right? But I am inspired that you stick with Jamie.
Yeah.
So like, let's talk about Jamie. And I guess, people are wondering, why does this guy pick Jamie? Like, why does he stay with them? A lot of people abandon ship and just go with another character. What is Jamie? What is it about that guy?
In Street Fighter 4, I played Balrog. Obviously, Balrog is not in this game.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a huge fan of him in Street Fighter 5. So I really like the dash punches, where he just kind of like shoots halfway across the screen and just like goes at you. And Jamie, he has this palm where it's just like he's shooting across the screen. You gotta deal with it. So I was like, okay, that kind of speaks to me.
Yeah.
And then, Yoon in Street Fighter 3, the coolest character ever, but like very hard to use, like super execution heavy, right? But I had 8 months to learn if this was an execution heavy character, I could actually do that.
Yes.
But there's like not a chance in hell if the game came out, I would have the time to like learn how to use a character that required so many extra moves in order to do the same damage, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the fact this game's been out a year and a half. There's been so many characters have been buffed, nerfed, but it seems like Jamie stays at like semi-bottom. What is your take? Is he bottom? Is he bottom tier, you think?
I think he's a great character.
You think he's a great character?
I think he is. I just a lot of people aren't around here are not playing him anymore. I think I've reached the limit of like tech and setups that I can learn with the character, but it's taught me that I just need to become a better Street Fighter player, like the mind game of Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And if I get better at that, then maybe I have to win one or two more situations per round than other characters. But if I'm just a better player, I'm gonna win.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. And I feel like, like Naruto, right? The character Rock Lee, he has the weights on him.
Yeah, yeah.
No matter what, when Jamie is hopefully buffed one day, or the next Street Fighter, you pick a character and that character is actually like the best.
Yeah.
It's almost like this character has made you learn fundamentals so hard and like, to.
Oh yeah.
So I would think that's why you're doing it too a little bit. It's like, hey, it's a little more difficult, but I'm okay with it. And I love character loyalists. Like, it's awesome to see.
Well, like to get the master rank, which is like kind of what everyone got in the first couple months of the game coming out, it took me 4,000 ranked matches to get there with Jamie. And I had a losing, I was winning 40% of the time. It was not great. But just recently I was playing Ryu with Atlanta, like learning how to play that character. And Atlanta has more combos than I do, but I was able to get Ryu to master rank in 400 matches.
Yeah.
So it was like, I've learned so many of the fundamentals from my character that using a character that needs to do less damage to win is actually just like, I don't know. It's, I've proven to myself that I'm not just a good Jamie player. I can actually, play the game pretty well too.
It's awesome. It would be weird. So I seen you at Cartridge Cartel recently play Dalsim, and it's almost like you weren't wearing your button up. It's like one of those things where something is not right. There's like a glitch in the Matrix where if you don't wear your button ups or you don't play Jamie, this is an alternate universe, LoweKey killed you, and now he's pretending to be you, but he doesn't completely know everything about you. So he's like, no, I'm a Street Fighter player, but he's playing Dalsim or something, or he's not wearing the button up. It just seems so out of place.
I see. Yeah. I will explain that. So some people want to like get every character to master rank as an achievement, like, the Xbox trophy or like PS3 trophy kind of thing. I'm not really like that, but I want to see the game from a different perspective. How does someone who's so passionate about Dalsim, like, how do they see the game, and like what's their lens? How do they approach this game? So that's just kind of what my mindset is on that. Like, there were 2 Dalsim players there, and they were so happy to talk to me, like about just how the character works. It was really cool. I did play like 4 hours of the character, but I don't think I'm any good at it.
Okay, yeah. So we touched on you playing leverless and over stick, even though you're around my age where we're OG. A lot of OGs play stick.
Yeah.
But you're smart enough to be like, I'm going to evolve and adapt. And so I think a lot of people, we know you for Jamie, the button up, but but something you've kind of adopted in going to tournaments and stuff is modding controllers.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get on this subject, which I think is a pretty deep subject, because I seen you start and like, it was almost like at one point you were modding controllers more than playing Street Fighter 6. You were like, look, I tested this new controller out, and you brought some to show.
Oh yeah.
So what's going on with this modding hobby?
The reason for this was right after Evo, there was this Gamers 8 tournament where it was like in Saudi Arabia. It was like 32 players, best players they invited. Kakaru, the JP player, he won $400,000 at this tournament, and he was doing this perfect parry technique that no one was doing. I was like, okay, what's different about him? He had an insane amount of extra buttons on his controller, and it was like, okay, I can. So I like I watched the VODs and then watched him earlier at Evo, try to understand where he was putting these buttons, and I figured it out. I mapped it out, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a cardboard box, drill these holes in, and try this out. And yeah, it basically to get an edge, like you were saying, Dakota, it's not cheating. It's making the game. I mean, people are obviously already doing it and winning $400,000, so it's just making the game easier within the, I don't know, confines of Capcom's rules. So that got me into putting holes in things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to touch? Because, dude, you've done this, I imagine, for like just the hours you put into it and how deep you've gotten into. I've seen you evolve from like, the cardboard to like the intricacies of modding a controller isn't as easy as someone would say. So yeah, I guess show off some of these. The most important one, obviously, you say, what is it called? The jizz machine.
This guy right here.
So
I will forever die on the hill that's saying that you should have named it the cum box, dude. Like,
so that the reason you called it that is because there's so many like gluing that went into it and stuff. It almost looks like there's like jizz dripping off of it, basically.
Yeah. So this controller, let's see if it's in. Yeah, it's in frame here. So basically, it was like $10 on AliExpress for the box itself. But I wanted to try out all the different button locations that all these top players were using to see if I could get an advantage, react with something faster, press a button faster. And yeah, this is, I'd never drilled something in my entire life. So the reason why there's so much glue on here is because my first time trying to put in this button right here, I actually cracked the whole thing in half. And I hastily put super glue all over it, which makes it look real sticky. Yeah, and then there's button plugs in all these places where I'm like, I did not like a button there. But yeah, I tried this different versions of this stick for a couple months before I finally decided to put a hole in my stick that I use every day.
Yeah, because you have the purple stick. That's super expensive and stuff. I love that, like, you what do they call it when it's like it's just a stick you just I'm trying to think
it's a beta test.
It's like a beta test stick. It's like prototype.
Yep.
It's and this is the stick you could abuse, you could lab, you could like just figure out, like, break it down,
right,
where you don't want to do it with your what is that one called again, the purple one? Right, the one you mainly take to tournaments.
So this is what a stock one looks like. This is the Victrix Pro FS12. Yeah.
And you don't want to be jizzing all over it.
No.
And just all those buttons. And then you imagine you're like, I thought I would like the placement, but I don't. It would just mess it up.
Yeah.
So what really I was like, damn, is when you finally figured out some of these buttons that you liked,
right,
and you did actually modify one of your really expensive purple ones, which you have. I like all the props. I like that you have them here. So this is a modified one you made.
Yep.
And how long did it take you to finally decide, I want to put those buttons on it? I'm actually going to drill some holes into this bad boy.
Yeah, I mean, it was about 2 months. And I'd done a lot of experimenting with that, learning how to drill. And my first lesson was don't drill top down, because the drill is going to like scratch it to hell. You actually have to like open the thing up and then drill from behind, and then it'll look great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot has been done to this beyond adding the 2 buttons. I've added a screen and stuff to it, but it's complete at this point, and I'm very happy with it.
Kicking some ass with it. You actually, some people got sticks off you, right? You modded some sticks for players.
Yeah.
Actually well-known players, DJ Norb and stuff. So how does that feel to, like, you picked up this hobby that it was for you to make your sticks better.
Right.
And people actually trusted you, that they're like, hey, like, I want some more buttons like he has and stuff. Like, how does that feel going from just a passion project hobby to actually getting paid, to do that?
I mean, I'm actually like intentionally, I'm not taking any money for or the services.
Yeah, you just like doing it, really, right?
Yeah, I charge for the parts because it's just like I'm passionate about it. Like I believe this is a good layout for this particular application, and it was so cool. I'll bring another prop here.
Yeah.
So this is it right here. This is the one that I brought to a tournament, and I showed to the one person who plays modern controls.
Yep.
I explained to them like I was trying to figure out how to use modern controls on an arcade stick because it seems like it was meant for a controller, like a Sony DualShock thing, DualSense, but like it didn't make sense for stick. Like you had to put your hands in weird configurations. So I modified it's called a smash box, and put some extra buttons in it and made it basically so you can play modern, always have your hand on every single button at the same time. And yeah, I guess just be able to instantly react to something. And it's actually more ergonomic than the controller that I currently use because like at rest, your hands are just kind of like, just doing nothing. And you're just always ready for everything. Yeah. So it took me, I'd only been master with Jamie rank at that point, and it took me 3 days with this thing to get master with Modern Luke. So I was a believer in it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, like the fact that people are willing to trust you to be like, here's some cash, get the parts, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And I've seen you where I'm like, wow, you're really getting kind of interested in this whole stick building thing, where I've seen how like you were like a kid in a candy store where you're like, you don't understand, like I did this thing, and look, you could just push it on your palm and drive impact and stuff. So I was like, that's awesome. Fighting games and coming to Madhouse and tournaments kind of open the door to something else, that maybe you didn't think you were going to do, but you did it because for you,
right?
And then it became for others, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time. We're all here, right? We're doing this. You're on a podcast because of who you are and like everything. Mm-hmm. But let's go to young low key.
Okay.
Let's go to what got you. Obviously, we got to always ask what got you like interested in even fighting games to this point. Like that, what got you here? Who's young low key saying, "Oh, I want to play a fighting game"? What is that?
Yeah. So at my local movie theater growing up, there was a Capcom versus SNK 2 machine. And I really liked playing that game because unlike any other fighting game, you put in a coin. Like if you lose your 2 rounds, okay, you got to put in more money. With this one, you got to play 3 characters for 2 rounds. It was like you could play for a lot longer, and you could get strong with one character and choose 2 new characters, and kind of play around. And that was just like so much fun to me. I mean, and there was a little bit of like being able to beat adults who are like walking up, that felt kind of good.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure you've experienced that.
I like that. And you actually, you brought Third Strike to high school.
Yeah.
I heard. What's that story about?
I had a MacBook, and that I would use for taking notes in school. Teachers, I guess, found me trustworthy enough at the time. People weren't really bringing like tablets or laptops to school, but I was able to take notes using my laptop at school. But I also had Street Fighter 3 on there. So during lunch, I would bring Xbox controllers, and people we'd just hang out in the hallway and play.
Yeah, and you actually you rigged on a high school projector.
Oh yeah, so like we were all excited for Street Fighter 4 to come out. That was my senior year of high school, and basically when it did come out, I would cart my PlayStation 3 and 2 like arcade sticks with me to school every day, and during lunch we would play in the electronics room. Hooked up to the projector. And then after school, I was taking some community college classes. So I'd go to the rec room at Diablo Valley College, and I would bring like a 12-inch monitor, and I would set up my 12-inch monitor, like 12-inch TV, like their CRT TVs back then. Yeah. And we'd play there for a couple hours. So I've always been bringing karting stuff around like that big.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
You seem like you really enjoy it, where it's like, people usually don't do that, but because we did, where it was cool with, with your Steam Deck, right? We're over there practicing at like an In-N-Out and
Right.
everything, and people are looking like, what are they doing? But we never let any time stop us where it's like, hey, we're ordering In-N-Out while we're waiting for the food. You hook up the Steam Deck. I have my arcade stick, your arcade stick, and we're playing and we're grinding. And people are like looking around, like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
So it's cool. And then we go to Evo,
Right.
and when we fly on the plane,
We could practice.
we're practicing.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, how fast that plane ride? It's like the fastest plane ride that happened because it's only Vegas. A plane ride's only like an hour or something.
Sure.
But it still felt like nothing because it's just like, I remember the tournament we went with. Was it Rex?
Rex to Fresno.
And that's like how long?
It was a 3-hour drive, and the Steam
hours.
Deck literally lasted the entire drive.
Yeah.
And we played like from San Jose to Fresno.
It honestly felt like 40 minutes. Just
Yeah.
grind. We did like 50 matches.
Yeah.
And I realized like, damn, that's like 3 hours because we're here and we're
Right.
ready. We're warmed up. So it was just a cool thing to see. Also, how early did you start getting your wrist pain and stuff?
I got really into Street Fighter 4. Like obviously I was bringing it to school. After school, I started to go to a couple tournaments and such, and I was having a lot of fun, but I was playing like 6 hours a day, I think, at age like 18, 19, and it eventually caught up to me because I was like gripping the controller. I don't know, the gripping the lever so hard, and basically over time, I think it was tendonitis. Not entirely sure, but like I had to kind of stop playing.
Yes.
Yeah, as much as I love the game.
Yeah, and for any gamer, tendonitis, super scary.
Right.
I watched this movie, Sound of Metal, amazing movie. It's a drummer, right, going on tour. He starts losing his hearing.
Oh no.
And I was so terrified. A month later, I started getting tendonitis where I was like, this is fucking hurting to like mash a button or something. And then I go to the doctor, and the doctor, I got kind of pissed because like they said it so like, oh yeah, you have tendonitis. And
Right.
I'm like, wait, like, how long does this last? Like, what's going on? And they're like, it could last forever. And I'm just like, what do you mean could? Like, what are you talking about? But eventually, luckily, they sent me to get it just, every day. What do they call it when you're going to like physical therapy?
Yep.
And it got better. And I was like, exercise, if anyone's out there aching pains and stuff, you would think to rest, or like, if it's something that's lasting months and stuff,
Yeah.
exercise usually is the key, get those muscles going and stuff.
I mean, and you don't have to go to a physical therapist either. Like whatever activity you're doing to cause that problem, like just look that up on YouTube, and there's sports coaches who are like, will say like, people who play fighting games. Like there's actually literally on YouTube, if you look up like fighting game wrist exercise warm-ups, like you can find someone who will give like physical therapy advice, exercises you can do to continue playing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So I see you have Dakota's face on your lap. That's not the first time, but you put it in the Madhouse colors.
What are you talking about, dude?
You put it in the Madhouse colors, and you put his face. I see this at one of our tournaments. I didn't know who did it. And I was like, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, Dakota's face. I'm like, okay, did he request someone to make that? Like, what is this? And I had so many questions.
Yeah.
And then Sly Coco, he's like, guess who did that? And I was just like, Agent Triple F, and because he's known as like the stick modder and stuff. And then he looked at me and he's like, and I was like, LoweKeyFlexin, and he's like, yes. And I'm like, that's why Dakota's face, because you always loved trolling Dakota out of all of us, right? It's like, it's just this thing you guys have where it's like,
Sure.
so it's pretty awesome.
Me and Aaron have had a interesting relationship throughout the entire time that we've known each other. We've now come to an understanding and a level of mutual respect, but it definitely wasn't like that in the very beginning. How different our personalities were right out the gate. Where I was just like, hey man, you're down for the brand. I like that, right?
Yep.
Let's have you do X, Y, and Z, and let's have you. And he's over here like, I did not fucking sign up for any of this, dude.
Yeah.
I came here to play Street Fighter. I don't need any of your fucking bullshit and your sass.
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, well, it's too fucking bad, right? And it's just like this ongoing battle where even at Evo, right, where we're probably going to touch on this later.
We're going to touch on it now?
Yeah.
Going to Evo when, I love telling that story. And granted, I tell a little bit of a embellished version of that story, but it wasn't that far off where you were going up on stage. You know, at that point we had no Madhouse merchandise other than the hats that were on our heads at that point. And me thinking to myself, hey, this will be a great opportunity to showcase the brand. You love the brand. Hey, guess what, man? Can you just put on my hat just for the duration of this match? Aaron just being very adamant, like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, it's not my flow. That's not my style. It's just gonna look weird. And I was like, I don't care if it looks weird, dude. Think about what all the good that this can do for right now. If you're on stream, think about if you win and you take the hat off and you point it at the camera, dude. Think of how cool that would be. And he's over here like, just get the fuck away from me, Dakota. Like, you know,
I was right there with it, and it was great to hear that you were about to play on stream. It was one of those intense moments where. We heard it, right? The TO came to everyone, and it's like, you know, stream match.
Right.
And we're at Evo, Super Bowl of fighting games, right?
7,000 people.
Yeah. And it was so intense. And I remember how excited Dakota got. You grabbed the hat off your head.
Yeah.
And you were like, Aaron, come on for the stream. Like, everyone's watching.
I don't ask you for anything, please.
Yeah, I've never asked you for shit ever, dude. Come on, dude.
And Aaron just being like, I'm not doing that. Because it's not your flow. As much as you support us, that's the one time. But it was so funny that you were kind of like, you know, the hat thing is like not my style.
Right.
And I got it. And you reminded me like a month ago or something, where you seen somewhere that I actually teared up when you were going on stage, and I remembered because when I heard you're going to be on, you know, stream,
Right.
when I seen you walking to every step, it was like going back to the garage stories, and just like meeting you for the first time, and it was just flashback, seeing you, how you grew from like this person we trained at the garage to like this. And it's your first time on stream of that caliber, right?
It's my first time at Evo, and I made it to the end of my pools, and they wanted to put me on stream. It was awesome.
You got like the full experience of what I would want anyone to get.
Right.
Because my first Evo, I went on stream, and just knowing like, it just gives you so much more love, and like, dude, I kind of did what I set out to do.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like how hard you worked. And I knew how hard we worked.
Right.
So when you were walking up there, I was just like, God damn, like good shit. Like, you know, you really deserved it. So it was a great time.
And I was wearing the button up, you know, it was Las Vegas. It was like a weekend, you know, I had no reason to be wearing my work attire. It was,
that's what I loved about it. You brought a bunch of work attire. There was no t-shirts in your luggage or anything. And I was just, even seeing that, right? You're walking up there, knowing that like, I told you in the garage, like, do the button up. And it's just like, everything came to fruition, as people say, right? And it's just like, damn. Mind you, you got your ass beat by the cami, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You needed it. You needed the exposure.
Oh, totally. I mean, to be fair, there were like 3 other people who had been up on stage playing my character for that match to get out of pools, and none of them did.
Yeah. The Jamies were getting wrecked out there.
Yeah. It was not a great time.
But the one time Jamie was putting on a wrecking, you're Jamie in Japanese arcades.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you tell us? You flew to Japan.
My family was going on vacation earlier this year, and we went, it was like around March. I decided there was an arcade version of Street Fighter out, Street Fighter 6. And I wanted to see how much I could level up over there, you know, get better at the game, while also going on a family vacation. So you can get these little cards that track your progress online. So every time you run up the arcade machine, like, it brings up your username and stuff. So you can battle the people. It's cool. I spend an hour and a half every day after hanging out with my family, hour and a half at the arcades every night. And I kept going higher and higher rank, and it goes from like rookie to master, and eventually I got master rank in Akihabara, one of the most crowded arcades, and that was like an awesome experience. And then I noticed, like, a couple days before I was about to go, that I wasn't far off from being the number 1 Jamie in terms of points at the arcade, even though the game had been out for several months. I was like, oh, I could just do this. So lucky for me, my flight got delayed the final day, like 6 hours. So all that time went into the arcade while my family went out. Actually, like, experienced more of Japan. I was like, hell no, I'm getting that extra points. So I I flew home as soon as I got it. Updates once a day, so I didn't know if that other guy logged in and like surpassed me or whatever. So like I got my points and then I flew home and then I immediately went as soon as I landed, dropped off my bags. I drove to Hayward, the closest arcade that had the game, and I scanned in my badge and it read at the top that I was the number one Jamie. And I was like, yes.
Damn. An American became the number one Jamie in Japanese arcades.
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome to hear. Like
It was pretty fun.
Yeah. I remember you told me and I'm like, wait, what? Oh shit.
Yeah.
And then I was surprised. I was like, damn, you do not let Street Fighter elude you. Like no matter where you're at, you're over there, Japan family vacation, and you're like, Street Fighter 6 is my family. That's what I'm doing. Number one, Jamie, what's up?
I mean, I got something to show for it. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
No, it is awesome. So now, we've talked about your amazing, like getting into modding. You love customizing things.
Right.
You have something that I believe all of us, and I think all the people listening, it's one of those dream things we always wanted as a kid.
Yeah.
You have an arcade machine.
Right.
Customized. I don't know how we're gonna do this.
We're gonna roll it in.
We're gonna wheel it in right now.
Yeah.
dude.
I'm
mean,
gonna
we-
hold it in front of the camera.
We could. It just wouldn't be on.
Yeah,
I could do that.
But we are
No,
knocking
no.
everything over.
we are gonna just so everyone watching, you're gonna see it. That we're gonna see it. But let's talk about it.
Okay.
Your arcade machine. It is beautiful. It's purple, my favorite color.
Right.
You have the display of it. It looks amazing. It obviously Street Fighter 6 on it.
Yeah.
But you have how many games on the arcade machine?
There's like 9,000 or something on there right now.
9,000?
Yeah, there's a lot.
So I guess for people watching, like, and that would love an arcade machine, right? And that's been a thing, not lately, but like for the past couple of years, is like the 1-up machines and stuff.
Right.
I just feel it's so, it's not optimal to like, oh, I want the Street Fighter machine, I want NBA Jam, Killer Instinct, and you have to buy all the machines, right? And it's like your whole house is going to be filled up.
Right.
Why not get one and it just has like 9,000, right?
Yeah.
And for people watching, that's like, I want a 9,000 game machine.
Yeah.
Like, what does it take to go into doing all that? Like computer wise, just everything. Like, how did you put 9,000 on there?
Oh, okay. I mean, so first of all, the best way to get one of these machines is like secondhand from like Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, some Craigslist, some place where someone needs to get rid of it, right? Like they're moving or their spouse told them you can't have this anymore, or an arcade's closing down. Like you're gonna save so much money on importing the thing across the world if you just get one that someone can't have anymore.
Yeah.
That's how you get one. I believe it was like $1,200 for the machine itself. So it's like a Vuelix cabinet, the same style that they have Street Fighter 6 at in the arcades. And then it's how I got 9,000 games in there. What it had in there was like a computer. It's like a Pentium 4. It's a very old computer, like a pile of hot dog water. Like it no good. But I figured out how to just remove what was in there, and I just took any extra parts that I could scrounge up, and I put together a computer that was capable of running the game. And I mean, that's kind of all it took. I mean, of course, I added like artwork, a different screen, and some extra buttons to it. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of it. It's for less than $2,000, you can get. I think we hear a snoring rabbit over there. Sorry.
I like your rabbit.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
thought it was.
rabbit.
I thought that was like some kind of weird groaning from downstairs.
I thought somebody was like outside, like getting attacked or some shit. Like,
Yeah.
No, my rabbit is over there snoring.
That's
Sorry.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's pretty cute.
you have some secret animals in here. Like when I first came in here, obviously you noticed the cats.
Right.
I didn't notice your rabbit until you introduced me. But you also have a spider
Right.
up
Yeah.
there. I'm just like, wow, okay, that's some awesome stuff. So obviously, like talking about the arcade machine does not do it justice. Like when I first came here and I was watching you and your stepbrother, right?
My brother-in-law.
You guys were playing Metal Slug. Looks
Right.
beautiful on the TV, which you also replaced the TV. I
Right,
believe,
yeah.
right? it's bigger, it looks better.
Mm-hmm.
Even Street Fighter 6, I'm like, I've seen, since it's bigger, we're used to playing on a smaller monitor.
Yeah.
But that screen, you could see like more skin detail
Right.
and just everything. I'm like, wow, this is a pleasure to play on just visually.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see that in a bit. So now, something you were a part of was the 7v7,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Unless there's something else you want to talk about with the arcade machine?
No.
Okay.
That's-
Okay.
I actually have a
What's up?
question,
Okay.
dude.
Yeah.
I've been thinking this entire time, right? Just given your living situation and just like, I don't want to reveal too much, but how did you even get this thing like in the house, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't look like I can lift 30 pounds, right?
I was like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, this looks kind of heavy, right?
For sure.
Did you have to disassemble it? Obviously, you
Not
probably
that much.
Did you have help or like it was just you and one other person?
Me and one other person. I had one of those little dollies where like, it's got wheels on it and a bunch of moving straps, and I covered the thing in a bunch of furniture moving stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much if I let go of that thing while I was pulling it up the stairs, I would have killed someone for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it was over 150 pounds. The part that I carried, it was pretty much everything but the control panel. It was one spot, one.
I
piece.
remember offering you my help, where I was like, hey, if you really need something heavy moved, like you can always feel free to call me. And you're like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
And I just remember my first thought after was like, are you sure? I don't.
Yeah.
Is this really gonna go well? If I find out this thing gets destroyed or whatever because it was dropped or whatever,
yeah.
I'm gonna feel bad, right? But thankfully, it seems like everything worked out.
Yeah. Well, so I originally paid for this thing, and I had no way to get it home because I was on a 3rd-story apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't without an elevator. You cannot. Like, by the way, it won't fit through a door.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to disassemble it to get it through a door anyway. So I was fortunate that my work let me hold the thing there in the warehouse for a couple months, and I was able to actually do all the modifications to it after hours and actually make it what it is right now before I brought it to my house, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So going to the 7v7.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know we had this legendary, awesome 7v7 Evo in the hotel. It was super fun. NorCal versus SoCal.
Uh-huh.
What was your part in all of it? For the people that don't know.
Okay. So, yeah, Evo, biggest fighting game in the world, Las Vegas. The Madhouse crew got a suite, and it was the room we were all sleeping in.
Yeah.
And basically, lots of PlayStations in there, and we were playing all the time. But it was a coordinated event that we streamed. It was basically 7 best people from Northern California versus 7 best people from Southern California. And basically, my part in it, we learned very quickly the hotel internet wasn't going to cut it. So I offered my phone hotspot at first. And we did some tests, and sure enough, it ran the stream just fine. So, I was kind of sitting behind Dakota at first while you're doing the commentary, while it was going, and then I realized, because we were kind of putting this all together last moment, there's no team order that's like, the captains have decided who's going up in what order, right? But like, we don't have anything to show. This is going to become a cluster if no one knows who's coming up next, right? Mm-hmm. So we need something at least for you guys to see. So while the stream was starting, I asked Dakota, like, hey, can I make a graphic? And what was your response?
You were already making a graphic on the computer.
You know what? I didn't ask if I could make a graphic. I was drawing a graphic.
You took charge.
I love like, I love how, so you were already in the process. Like you were like, hey, your stream's up and running. Everything's cool. You said, can I do something? Whatever. Yeah. I didn't even know what the fuck you were doing. So you got on, you were in MS Paint.
Yep.
You were doing your fucking thing. And I was like, why do we need to do this, man? Like just send the people up and then I'll just tell them and then everything will be cool. Right. but you were very adamant. And then I saw like your chicken scratch, and I even got like angry. I was like, what the fuck are we like? We're holding up the stream for this.
Oh yeah, because
right?
like you don't understand like the level of like the production quality, the stuff that gets put out by the Madhouse people. It like has a level of polish to it that's like it looks really good. But what I was doing was I was drawing logos for the event and the different teams poorly, like a child in Microsoft Paint.
It's like 10
And
buttons.
The logo has 10 buttons instead of 8. The one that you drew.
yeah. So even the Madhouse logo, I messed up and added extra buttons to it. and like I was writing the player names, and like it was kind of getting cut off because I ran out of space and stuff. Like it was looking bad.
And the beautiful thing about MS Paint is like you can't necessarily like, oh, I just want to remove this one layer or I want to do that. Like if you fuck up, you have to like erase everything.
Right.
So it was like, it was getting to the point where it's like, bro, this shit should have started like 30 minutes ago. Aaron's over here doing, I don't know what the fuck. He's like
Doodling.
just drawing shit,
Yeah.
right? He's doodling essentially on the computer that I need to get ready, right? Because I need to make sure all the audio levels are good. I need to make sure everything's in order. So at some point, he sends me the thing, and then we realize like all the names are on here. This is supposed to be a blind sort of select, right? You can only reveal one name at a time, and then we reveal the next two and then the next two. But he gave me all of them up front.
Yep.
So he's like, let me go back and let me redo it. And I'm immediately like, get the fuck off the computer right now. If you're going to do it on your phone. And he's like, but how am I going to send you the files? Just send them over Discord. If you can figure that out, I will do it. I will make it work. If you can't figure that out, well, it's too fucking bad. It wasn't meant to be, right? We'll do it next year. And thankfully, I didn't even know you had like MS Paint on your phone.
I don't. I was using them like in the iPhone in the Photos app. You can just hit edit, and then you can draw pencil stuff on your thing.
So I was like, if Aaron can figure it out, if he can get me any sort of image file, even then, like I did not have necessarily a plan on how I was going to get it in front of you guys, or I was going to get it in front of the stream. That's why, like out of nowhere, you're like, oh, there's just an image on the screen. And then out of sudden, like we switch scenes. And then when it switches back, now you guys are green screened at the bottom. It was like me figuring it out as he's sending me files.
Yeah.
So I was just over here like, okay, he's keeping up. I'm keeping up.
Yeah.
Okay, this is actually turning out really well. And to Aaron's point, this is fucking hilarious, right? Like how just like shoddy this shit looks, right? Versus like everything else that we're doing.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it just reminds me of like, there's been other situations like that where on TV, like they are like, we fucked up and we're just gonna do something. There was an ad of somebody with an MS Paint screenshot saying in Scribble, looking for a graphic designer, right?
That was
and
an amazing ad.
That was an ad for a job opening for their company, right?
Wow. That's genius.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Because it's like, obviously they need it.
So it had those very similar vibes to it, but at the same time, it still was able to communicate the information that we wanted while letting people know also that like, hey, while Madhouse, like granted, we are putting a lot of effort into this thing.
Yeah.
We don't take this thing too seriously.
Yeah. It was a good time.
So
Everyone enjoyed it. That's what I loved about it.
I was just sitting behind Dakota during the entire thing, madly just drawing the next names and sending him via Discord the images, and then he was creating new scenes in his OBS program to throw up on there to hopefully, I was just make sure we get the right names up there every time. And then while this is going on, I'm looking at the stream chat, and then people are saying that the stream quality is dipping. I'm like, what's going on? It's dropping. Well, my phone's overheating. So this is not good. And I don't know whose idea was it. Maybe it was Atlanta's idea or yeah. So
Yeah, it was.
Atlanta, what did we end up doing?
Okay, so we got really lucky that one of the water... I loaded up the fridge with a bunch of water bottles. So the entire time I'm handing it out, I noticed that one of the bottles that we had were like... I'm like, this thing's frozen solid.
Yeah.
So I put it back there. So when I know the phone's overheating, I just like, okay, let's go grab that water bottle and let's just put it next to the phone and see what happens. And then like we decided to duct tape or use the caution gaffer's tape on it. And just wrap it and just put it on the phone. And for some odd reason, that worked. It worked. Just cooled down the phone. Stream quality went back up. And everyone's like, all right, it looks good again. And I'm like, this is the funniest thing ever. And that's like the real MVP behind the scenes for me. Like this water bottle, this frozen
The water bottle.
It was almost destiny that singular water bottle chose the
Yeah.
freeze in the fridge, right, while all the others stayed completely fine.
And I remember the SoCal players looking at us duct taping this thing, and they just started losing their shit. And I was like, "This is great. I love this so much."
Yeah.
Yeah, my point of view was like just seeing all three of you guys work, where like you were doing the the paint and all,
Yeah.
and I'm just like I'm waiting to commentate, and I'm just like, okay, this looks like at any moment like it could be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And like we were very prepared for it, but there was some things that were underprepared, and I love that like you took charge. You're like boom boom boom, Atlanta, the ice and all that stuff. He's like any way he could go. Dakota's over there. Some of the SoCal players were getting out of line. He was there like, hey, I'm about to fuck you up. Like, chill out.
That did not happen. It did not happen like that at all.
Okay.
I find it, I don't know. What I find funny out of all that situation is like Atlanta had been like he had been the person on production the longest out of anybody else. And now that there was no bracket for me to run, it's just like, okay, well, I guess now Atlanta's focusing on photos. I guess I'm the producer now. And just seeing how quickly like all of us. And again, Aaron, not even being involved in the 7v7, found a role where he's like, I want to do this. And we all adapted and we all just kind of did our thing, right? And it showed a lot of team unity and adaptability.
We got a lot of good photos too, actually.
Yeah.
It was good.
Man,
Yeah.
that 7v7, knowing about it before it happened, I had like a vision and a dream of how I hoped it would go. And it went better just because of we now know that who won, right? And it was the underdogs and all that. And not just that, it was like everything, the chaos and you joining in. And the moment I knew, I was like, damn, that was better than I thought, was the excitement on your face when it was after Evo. It was like next tournament I seen you out, right? Just like a Madhouse local. You like went up to me super joyful and you were just like, dude, that 7v7 was like fucking awesome. And I'm like, oh, you thought so too?
Yeah.
And you were just like, the amount of just, ecstatic you were and stuff. I was like, wow, like it was really good. Like, and then I thought of it and I'm like, yeah, like the way everyone handled their role and as chaotic and scary as it would be at sometimes, it went well. And I loved when the vibe, right? NorCal versus SoCal, when people still had hope that they were going to win or the other team.
Right.
It was so like dead quiet. And then when like someone would get around, the team would go, yeah. Like the tension was so quiet, but then you knew when they would all scream for their teammate. And then obviously, it started happening where, Atlanta, you would say like, it started getting depressing for a certain team because, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, we had to throw away a lot of those SoCal pictures.
I think a big turning point at the part, because I edited all that stuff together, right? And I keep watching a lot of that just because it was, I watch it a lot, not just because like, hey, it's really cool to watch like a lot of our close friends win, but also because like, hey, what could I have done better with production? Should I have stayed on this scene? Should I have moved to this camera angle? And me cutting to the wide shot, seeing, IT Soda Can, like basically him like being very calm and collected even after the win, him stand up, but his acknowledgement to his teammates where he's like straight up going from 0 to 100, just like screaming like, let's fucking go, right? Like him trying to give them all the energy that he had just, created. And then the team feeding off of that, right? And after he won, the team never looked back, right? It was just like, that was like sick, dude. That was like the moment where it was like, dude, we're on a fucking roll, dude. The momentum's on our side, or at least on NorCal's side. And it was just, yeah, dude, it was awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of the enemy, SoCal, which, we're all cool with each other and stuff. But there's always been a rivalry, NorCal, SoCal. We will be going to Risk November. And like, you're coming too, right?
Yeah,
Low-key?
let's do it. Yeah.
And how are you feeling about it?
I'm excited. Yeah.
Who are you rolling? Do we know who we're all rolling with?
No, we're gonna throw it up.
I'm
in the
going
air and see what
alone.
happens.
I'm actually going alone because I'm bringing all the shit with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then my car is just gonna be empty.
Okay.
There's nothing in there.
like, yeah,
Just me.
I'll figure it out.
So yeah. How you feeling about it? Like Risk, what is like your thoughts on going into it? What are you looking to gain out of it?
Well, I'm actually friends with a lot of the SoCal players. So I'm pretty pumped to see a lot of them in person. It's kind of been like one of my friends in high school. He was on the SoCal 7v7 team.
Yeah.
And I've been practicing with him a bunch, so I've become friends with a lot of his friends. So it's going to be a great time to actually get to meet a lot of those guys. So, yeah.
All right. So, dude, we got your whole lowdown. I think a lot of questions have been answered in terms of when someone walks in the venue and they see you and they're like, what is this button up, stick making motherfucker doing here? Like, he doesn't look like he belongs here. A lot of those questions about why you button up and all. I'm glad we got to do this podcast and stuff. Before we go, do you have anything we maybe didn't touch upon that you would like to just bring to light and just the future of LoweKeyFlexin? Like,
no, I mean, just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, getting better at Street Fighter, and hopefully one day I'll win a local.
Okay. Well, hey, this was a great time. I think, are we still going to talk about the arcade? Are we going to still talk like when we go to the
I
arcade?
think we have enough time right now where, you know, hey, we have the ability to go and shoot shoot a whole nother video right after this to give a little bit more in-depth, you know, profile into Low-Key, some of the other stuff he has going on where he lives. And again, we have a lot of other stuff, you know, a lot of other stories to cover, right? Because, you know, as much as we've been talking now for an hour and 30 minutes, you know, there's so many stories where I could still tell about you and other things like, you know, great things people have said about you, or just like a lot of goodwill that you built up in the community, right? But hey, an hour 30 is not enough to do it, right?
Okay.
And we don't want to sit here and drone on forever.
Well, I think I'll save the StayMAD for, you know, this is to let everyone know.
No. We're gonna wrap this up. It's gonna be a whole
This
nother
is like
video.
end credits. Okay.
Yeah. So we're currently in. Like,
all right. Well,
now.
Aaron, LoweKeyFlexin, dude. I vibed with you so fast, and I don't remember. You know, I'm in my 30s. Like, it's harder to like quickly. As a kid, we just would latch on and be friends with everyone.
Oh yeah.
It takes a lot more now, and like I felt like you were one of those last friends that like I quickly like I was like, this guy's cool. I want to be his friend like day one.
Yes.
So thank you for like letting us in your home, which this is new. We rarely do that, and just talking about your history.
Yeah.
All right.
Been fun.
Thank you, and everyone, stay mad.
Stay mad. Thanks for the thumbnail.
Oh, the thumbs up?
Yeah.